Hello, lovely people. Editor Dan here on his cell phone, giving you a special announcement before we get into your regularly scheduled podcast. Olga and I talked after recording this week's 4 episodes, and we decided we loved watching 4 episodes at a time and recording about 4 episodes, but the way we're going to release this is actually a little different than what we say later in the video. We're going to be basically splitting the 4-episode podcast in half. So each week you'll get a podcast about 2 episodes, and that way we can last for another 8 weeks instead of only 4. I think that makes more sense in my opinion, and each one is still like around 30 minutes. I think it's substantial. Let us know what you think in the comments down below, but it just makes life a little bit easier on our end, and it teases us out a little bit longer. Thanks, guys. Welcome to Going Dark, a podcast about Netflix's sci-fi series, Dark. I'm Dan.
I'm Olga, and today we're discussing the first half of Season 2, Episodes 201 through 204.
Yes, this is our first big jumbo-packed episode. Double feature. We watched the whole first half of Season 2. I'm very excited to talk about it. What did you think?
I mean, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I think this is the way that we should have been watching this show the whole time. As many listeners / viewers commented, this is a show that is meant to be binged. Yep. And we didn't even do a full binge. We did a half binge. And it was perfect.
It was a perfect half binge, though, ending with that Adam reveal. You know, it actually felt like a mid-season finale, which I don't know that last season had that.
I'm sure we could have found a point, but this was great. It really got me excited about. I'm so happy it's summer.
Oh, seriously, yeah. No more rain for a while, hopefully.
Yeah. How many scenes in the gray German woods can we possibly have? I want the yellow tinted German woods.
Yeah, no, it was great, and I think that, you know, especially when we were going episode by episode, you get kind of lost in the minutia of, you know, the very specific things that are going on. And I mean, even in these episodes, like, I have some critiques we're going to talk about, but like, this show is unlike anything else. And I just keep coming back to that it's such a cool thing to see these multiple generations and these actors playing these multiple generations. Yeah. And I mean, that alone would be interesting enough, but they have this really complex story that they're weaving. And I was also thinking that this show reminds me of my mortality more than any other show. It's like, no matter how hot you look, you're gonna end up looking like a wrinkly old weirdo by the end
Oh my God. Yeah, it really puts into perspective my grandmother being like, I used to be beautiful. People said, wow, I'm so-and-so's mom. I'm beautiful. I was beautiful. And I'm like, okay, Grandma, I love you, but this is weird. Now I'm like, you know, I get it. I get mourning your youth. I should appreciate myself more now.
Even beautiful 50-year-old Jonas eventually turns into a weird, like,
melted man. Whoa. Can't say that's where my brain went, but okay.
Yes.
50-year-old pseudo 35-year-old Jonas.
Yeah. We watched these episodes a few days ago, and I had like smart things that I meant to say at the top of this podcast, and instead I talked about penises. So
it's European, Dan. It's fine. That's acceptable.
All right. So a few quick pieces of housekeeping. Again, going forward, this is a Thursday podcast, 4 episodes per podcast. So 3 more to go. Also, please rate us or review us on Apple, Stitcher, wherever you might be. Really appreciate the people that went out and reviewed us this week. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're going to get to feedback later so we can do some of that. But shall we get into our recap?
Let's do it. 1 of 4.
All right, so we're picking up with 201 beginnings and endings, and we're not going to do like a full recap because we're doing 4 episodes, but we're going to give you the most important bullet points for each episode so you know what we're talking about, and then we're going to do points of interest for each of them.
Yeah.
All right, so beginnings and endings, the recap. Noah is killing a guy in the 20s, and he lost faith in the prophecy, so he's got to go, and we're using a pickaxe or some sort of mining material.
Tool. Yeah. So this is young Noah,
yes.
as it's revealed to us.
I was excited to be correct that
you
we were going to the 20s.
Good for you.
Very fun opening. Reminded me of Lost.
Fun opening. He murders a guy.
A fun, murderous opening. Yeah. It reminded me of Lost. I'm not sure why, but just that like cold open where you're like, I don't quite know who this person is, but I think maybe, and you're seeing them put the Sigmundus plaque thingy, whatever you want, door, I guess is the right word.
Well, they're already past the door, but they're creating the passageways. Yeah, I can see how it's a bit losty.
Yeah. So then we have Jonas, who is chilling in the future. He sees a guy hung for going into the power plant zone. And Jonas goes there later and finds the God particle.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so thoughts about Jonas in the future. I do think it was a little strange that they jumped the time.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed by that. I was a little frustrated because I really did want it to pick up, where it left off. But, it's fine. It was interesting. It worked out, him exploring. And it was so dark, obviously, with, no pun intended, with the circumstances and like the cemetery and the fact that it's Elizabeth leading this group. Yep. And boy, oh boy, were we wrong about that being Marta aged up. Whoops. Again, actors don't seem like their ages, although, it was kind of obvious here to me that she was in her 20s.
I watched that on iPad the first time, and I have bad vision.
Yes.
So...
You're off the hook, Dan. I don't know what my excuse is. But it was really bleak. That's the word I was looking for. And it was bleak in a different way than the bleak existence / narrative of Jonas in season 1.
Bleak in a fun way.
Yeah, actually, kind of.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I liked exploring.
I really liked the time jump everywhere besides the future because it was nice to have like sort of new, let things breathe and certain relationships build and stuff like that. But with Jonas, I wanted to see how they immediately knew he was from the future and stuff like that.
Or from the past.
Yeah. And I guess that probably has to do with Elizabeth being told certain things by Adam, probably-ish. But it's just interesting because I just want to know what that initial conversation was, Yeah. Who do you think the girl from the future is?
I mean, she has to be the child of someone who hasn't been, it's not someone who's pregnant right now because, also she's a teenager. But just the fact that, we see, she does look like Marta. I still think she looks like Marta.
I still think she's Marta and Jonas's daughter.
But Marta's dead.
Well,
probably.
What does dead mean?
I think that she is Magnus and Franziska's daughter.
That was the other option. But where are they?
I don't know, but they could have been executed by now. Clearly, Elizabeth's in charge of a cult, or at least a subset of a cult. It would explain why she looks like Marta because she would be, her niece.
Yeah.
And it would explain why she knows sign language because Elizabeth could be her aunt through Franziska.
Well, I feel like no matter what, Elizabeth is her
mother figure.
Yeah, mother figure.
Foster
so that
mother.
Doesn't necessarily.
Yeah. I know.
I think I'm still of the opinion that she's Marta's daughter. I know they're saying she's dead, but there's time travel in this. Who knows? Maybe she is dead. But she wasn't dead when she had her, when she time traveled to somewhere else.
Maybe.
Who even knows?
I understand that I'm not saying that it isn't possible. I'm just saying that this is my pet theory.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I have this great pet theory, and it's fantastic, and you're going to love it, okay? So my pet theory is that Marta and Franziska were switched at birth, much like the hit ABC Family Channel show Switched at Birth. And so Magnus and Franziska are the real incest.
Oh, Dan.
And Marta is not actually related to Jonas.
Why? Oh, Dan.
That's my theory.
Oh, why?
Because it's a great theory.
because it would ruin people's lives. Mwahahaha.
All right, so he finds the God particle.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, old Jonas somehow survived the whole calamity at the end of last season, which, I mean, I didn't think he died. You did.
Yeah, I'm over one.
And he reveals himself to his mother, which I thought was interesting.
Yes.
And, you know, some people seem to ship them together, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's why I was like, reveals himself to his mother, eh? Sounds like one of your theories. Yeah, I see that they're both attractive, so I can understand that. Like, the actors are attractive. But yeah, no, I really like this twist. I mean, I didn't expect Jonas to be like, Mom, I'm your son.
Yeah.
I've been missing, but here I am, plus 33. Like,
Yeah, it was a good way to move things along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes Hannah more likable, too.
Yeah. In general, it's interesting seeing she kind of got like a get out of jail free card.
With her son going missing?
Well, that, and also like with Ulrich being gone, it's like she's not destroying his life anymore. And so she's not really blackmailing Alex anymore. And the fact
not according to Alex.
well, and she was like considering killing herself.
Mm-hmm.
So like circumstances shifted enough that it's like, well, she's still Hannah, but right now she's just okay, I guess.
She's maternal Hannah. Yeah. That side of her.
Now, I have a question to you.
I'm scared of your question.
No, this isn't a sexual question. Don't worry. So Jonas says that he closed the portal. I'm confused about this portal nonsense.
Yeah.
Because the way Noah made it sound at the end of the finale was that he would be creating the portal. That it was the alpha and the omega. It was this is how it gets started and how it gets closed. And I don't know. He acted like he would fail. And in some ways, if he closed the portal, didn't he succeed? But he wanted to destroy it.
Right. He wanted to destroy it. I think what he's saying that he failed at, that we as viewers didn't know he was setting out to do was to avert the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And he, I think, sets off this other loop, this other like series of events that are like leading up to the apocalypse. You know how in this season we have that countdown of several days, like at the beginning of each episode. So that to me is what was actually meant by that, even though at the time we didn't know that.
I'm lost about what a cycle is. Because if we're saying right now in season 2 we're in a cycle again, then I'm confused. Because I thought a cycle just had to do with when the door was open and you're in an intertwined parallel space where all three things are happening at the same time. And if the door is closed, then I don't really know what a cycle is.
But that's the thing. So the cycle, this is the cycle of after the doorway is closed.
But why does it happen 6 months later or whatever?
I think the idea is that it was always looped in the second afterwards, but we just didn't like witness that. That was just like part of the time jump.
You're saying
the day after the portal
was the
closes
beginning of a new
was
cycle.
Already the beginning of the new cycle, but that wasn't the beginning of season 2.
Okay, I mean, maybe. I don't feel like we have any way of knowing that.
We don't, but they talk about it being a new, like, the new rotation.
Well,
we're getting close.
I guess I don't understand the cycles.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not saying that I have, like, a concrete explanation. That's just kind of my interpretation, is we have before when the portal/pathway is open, and we have after.
Are we assuming that it will open again when we get to the apocalypse day? Because seemingly
it's just something else.
It's a problem that he didn't destroy it, so it can open again. And so, I mean, in my thought process is that the future people, Elizabeth's people, think that it's going to open again
and lead them to paradise.
Yeah, so they can go somewhere else or whatever. And maybe it will or maybe it won't. But like, I don't know. I'm just a little lost in
I
that
understand. I'm not like
things.
completely certain either. That was just kind of my interpretation of it.
Yeah, because they
sort
keep talking. It gets confusing to me when they're talking about this is going to be the last cycle. We're going to break the cycle, and I'm like, I don't know what the cycle is.
Well, I just think of it in terms of those like interlapping circles that were such a big deal in the imagery for the Sigmundus group. And so to me, I'm like, oh, that is what like signifies a cycle.
Or is the
intertwining.
Is every year the beginning of a new cycle?
Because 33.
Well, no, but think about it. So it's like 2019 was the cycle of 33 years before and 33 years after. Now we're in 2020 with the cycle 33 years after and 33 years before. So technically, like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
I get
every year is like has its own 2 years that correspond with it.
I mean, yes, in that they will always travel. They will always be 33 years apart.
Yeah.
So yes, but also I think that we have the beginning of a new like interweaving thing starting the day after the portal is closed.
A new interweaving thing.
Like now we are in the interweaving timeline of the 20s. Now it's shifted over a year, but it is also just the portal is closed.
Well,
so
I mean,
that signifies
I get the impression that now we have two triangles.
Right,
going,
because
right?
It's such a big
because we have
branches.
We have one where the middle is the 50s and we have one where the middle is 2020.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe a cycle is a 33-year period. So we're saying it's just weird because the cycle, it's all happening at the same time.
Right.
So like, man, I'm starting to lose my brain.
I'm getting more and more confused.
We're gonna go back to the
We're
recap.
confused if someone gets it and it isn't spoilery.
Yeah.
Explain.
Yes. Yeah. If I'm supposed to be confused, that's fine.
Right.
I just don't know if I'm supposed to be confused or not. Anyway, Marta breaks up with Bartosz.
Easy come, easy go.
Good job.
So invested in their dating life.
I want me a Bartosz episode.
I mean, it has to happen,
We need
right?
it soon
Yes.
because these 4 episodes, what the heck is this boy doing? I do not understand this character.
We see him in episode 1. He kind of disappears. We see him in episode 4. Things really escalate in episode 4.
Yeah.
I really hope we have an explanation too. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I really do like, though, is Adam, now knowing Adam is Jonas, being like, that Bartosz is totally naive. What a loser.
Jeez.
What a dumb fuck.
So I take it they were never friends again after that.
Magnus follows friend Ziska for the 55th time. And
33rd time, Dan.
And he thinks she's a sex worker because he follows the trail back to the sex worker. And I'm just going to jump ahead and say next episode we find out that she's not a sex worker. She's providing hormone replacement therapy. Which brings me to the grand question. What was the point of all of this?
I don't know.
Yeah, this is my least favorite part of the show right now.
Not because of specifically this mystery, this pseudo mystery.
Well, A, it's the mystery, and why on earth did we drag it out into season 2? What was the point of that? B, it's basically like the huge majority of Magnus's character is having sex with Franziska or stalking Franziska, and we've seen so little of him actually being a character that isn't a stalker, and now it's totally for no reason. And I also felt like Franziska, if she was a sex worker, that was going to, lead to some interesting statements or interesting things for her as a character and her owning herself, but it's also kind of messed up because she's so young or whatever. Right. Her just doing this thing, I feel like I'm back to like, who's Franziska exactly? Like, okay, she's the Ulrich of the 2010s. Yeah. I'm getting out of this crap town. No, I'm not. I just feel like, to me, that the kids haven't gotten what they're just due. Like I think that I understand the kids from the 80s so much more and got so much more out of their character choices and things than I do out of the 2010s kids. I mean, aside from Jonas. Right. I mean, Marta, I would argue, had one good episode where she was in the play. Other than that, I'm like, she's just kind of waffling around. I feel like Marta, I think you're not doing Marta credit. I mean, I like the actress to be clear. No. I think her storyline, yes, that it was it's like very romance centric, but I feel like she has a lot of like machinations going on in her mind. But yeah, I see the criticism with Magnus, with Katarina, and with Bartosz. You mean Franziska? Oh, whoops. Yes, I always say that. Yeah. And even with Elizabeth, like she's just kind of like
there.
Yeah. I guess I'm like, not to like, there are good moments for each of these characters. I liked when Magnus was like smacking the wall and stuff in that one episode. I just feel like now that we're halfway through season 2, I wish I knew these characters more.
Right.
That said, I really liked that they actually grouped up together.
That was great. It felt like an 80s movie adventure.
Yeah. All right. The other thing of note happens in this episode is that the task force guy, Clausen, comes to town. And more on that later.
Right. But he's in town and he can't drive.
There's a new sheriff in town and he don't got no horse.
Yeah, that's the joke I was going to make after you made that voice. I was like, oh, say a thing about the horse, Olga. And I was like, oh, Dan did. Oh, good.
All right.
Good joke.
First set of points of interest.
You got it.
The points of interest.
Dun, dun, dun.
First up is this magical coin.
Well, this coin held by Jonas, this coin necklace medallion thing that future Jonas has.
Yep.
So it's
in the bunker.
In the bunker, yes, in Claudia's bunker. So it seems to be Jesus, maybe on the shoulder of his not dad.
Well, God, I guess you could say that maybe he's supposed to be God.
No, who's his other dad?
Oh, you mean Joseph?
Joseph, thank you. I'm bad at the New Testament.
Oh yeah, that probably is Joseph.
I think this is baby Jesus or toddler Jesus on Joseph's shoulder. He's holding a cross, he's glowing, and he's like, come to me, my children. I don't know. And also he seems to be in kind of like a wasteland / the desert.
Yeah.
So that, it's the comparison of come to me, I am your prophet. So
this is also directly on, like, either on top of or right next to a picture of Marta. Do you think this is Marta's?
Maybe.
We haven't seen anything to indicate that she's religious as far as I can remember.
No, but you could have like a family heirloom of a little like protective kind of thing. Yeah. I forget what those are called, but I could see that. I'm keeping an eye out for it in other places.
Yeah.
But it should be meaningful. It's the new penny on a red string.
That's true. I still don't even know what those are about. But someday. I mean, I know when they use them. I don't know why.
Right.
But conductors or something.
Maybe.
Yeah. Next up. All right. I made this lovely image combining all the different gravestone thingamajigs.
Yes. So we have Torben Voller, who is the one-eyed policeman. We have Marta. We have Alexander Tiedemann. So that's Bartosz's dad.
Yep.
And then we have Justina Jankowski.
Yeah. I was wondering if that is literally just to show she's a child because they're like.
Because it has a little rabbit boy.
Or if that's someone we're supposed to know and I don't know.
I don't know this name and I'm afraid to Google it. So
this scene really reminds me of I don't remember if it happens in the movie, but in the X-Men Days of Future Past comic, there's a whole thing where they like go through the gravestones and it's like the dark future and you see like all the X-Men's names on different gravestones.
That's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't stop saying that. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, I really like this. And maybe this is how we learn about Justina. Maybe Justina Jankowski is the mother of no, she can't be the mother of the teenage girl because that doesn't add up chronologically.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
That's the thing with the show is I'm like, should I know who this person is yet, or is that like foreshadowing, or is it literally just there's a kid that died?
It could be.
We will find out. All right, next point of interest. Woo! It is funky pictures.
Yeah, so we have the weird phases of Earth that are in the Tannhaus shop, and also I think we sort of see them at one point in the underground bunker belonging to Adam.
Yeah, so this isn't a book. This one is.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this imagery I think we see again too.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
So Elizabeth is looking over them. She takes the book back home with her. Which is interesting because maybe it's sort of again foreshadowing her connecting with this religion or whatever.
The prophecy and whatnot. But yeah, we have the reveal that Tannhaus was Charlotte's grandfather.
That's true.
That's the word I was looking for.
That is true. We'll get back to her parents later. But yeah, this appears to be three Earths sort of coinciding with each other.
Yeah.
So that you might think about the 3 different time periods and the cycle, or
the spheres and the lining up of the planets. And this is just very like classic imagery.
And we got these like gods,
Cupid
the
gods,
winds
yeah.
from the different corners and stuff. Fascinating. I wish I had more to say about this stuff, but right now I'm just
it's just interesting. Ooh. It's a point of interest, Dan. It's just interesting.
All right. And so for the last point of interest for this episode, we're jumping back to our normal image because I didn't feel need to do this image. Yeah. But we're talking about the 2 Vuller siblings.
Yes.
Now that we know that Bernadette and Torben are related.
Yeah, so that explains why. And the whole thing is he was storing the radioactive barrels, the truck containing them outside of her trailer.
Yes.
And it wasn't because he was using her services, but because they're family, and clearly they have, some tension in their family, probably relating to her transition or her sex work or something.
Well, one thing I really like is that the world is still continuing to open up for us. There's still new families for us to see. And who knows which of those might end up, we end up seeing pieces of them in the past or the future or what. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was an interesting little scene. Yep.
Yeah, I liked it. All right. Bringing us into 202 Dark Matter. In the 80s, Claudia meets old Claudia, and she receives a time machine via a time capsule in the yard.
A hole in the ground.
Yes, I thought that was very fun. Yes. I liked all that stuff. Great season for Claudia right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have all the stuff with Gretchen the dog and how she got it. That was cool.
Yeah, I like that. I like that Egon even remembered. Meanwhile, old Jonas takes his mom to the 80s to see Mikkel. So he officially proves it to her.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Mikkel has a plot where he's down and he's sad. And to me, it feels a little fillery, but it's also kind of necessary.
I think that this was important, that he wasn't just like, okay, I'm going home with my new mom and I'm totally fine. Like it was nice, especially since we don't really have like middle-aged 2019 Ulrich as a character anymore.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we still have this like 2019 into 1980 like story continuing into the season. Yeah. Also, I really like the stuff with Hannah and the fact that like, again, we have this narrative of her being like that seductress, wife stealer, crazy, vengeful person. Yeah. But then when she sees like her husband and the way that she met him as a child, she like breaks down. So she's not just like, I've moved on. No, it really reaches her.
Yeah.
So that was again really good like Hannah redemption stuff.
I mean, I don't even know if redemption is the right word as much as it's just showing that she, like so many of the other characters, has their ups and their downs and their good parts and their bad parts.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the future, Jonas steals gas. He's gonna power the God particle, and he gets caught trying to sneak into the power plant, and he gets hanged. Eventually,
explains the scar.
Yeah, very important scar later on.
Yes.
He eventually escapes to a different time with the future girl's help. I remember I believe you mentioned the thing on the neck of the stranger back when we first
like very early. So I've been waiting for this one.
Yeah, very cool. I think this is I guess there's only 2 episodes of him in the future. But I really liked this plot line of him in the future in this episode.
The tension of him stealing the gas. It was just all very well done.
Yeah.
I really like it.
We so rarely get like an action scene, and that was pretty cool.
And you still had the character stuff with the future girl kind of like helping him out in her journey of non-belief and I just really liked her here too.
Definitely. Meanwhile, in the 80s, Egon is dying and fixated on the Mads case. He visits Helga and old Ulrich. So let's talk about old Ulrich. Great actor.
Yeah.
Very tragic and sad to not have our Ulrich anymore.
Yeah. I'm bummed. I'm gonna miss him. But also, again, they found a guy who looks like him. It's kind of freaky, but okay. It's
a very, very cool, ballsy move to do this with one of our main characters.
Yeah.
I am a little bit torn on it just because he was one of the few people I really was connecting with, but I also got to give him credit for that because that was a dark ass move, no pun intended.
Yeah. The inspector, as we call him, he's been here longer than most of the staff have worked here. Oh.
We need like a bell anytime someone says the word dark on this podcast by accident.
I feel like our listeners would get real annoyed by that real fast. Drink every time we say dark, not referring to the show title. Egon being like, I'm going to investigate this mystery because I'm dying. And I was like, we've seen 2019, buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. Yeah. But it's still, I mean, to me, the fact that he brought us into what was going on with Ulrich totally made that worth it.
Yes. And it's still, you could argue that this isn't quite redemption either because it's just, again, what people are complex about, but it's him, digging into the truth, not just wanting to like take things at face value.
Yeah. I mean, redemption's a weird way to put it, as much as it's more like revealing more of him. It's like redemption in the eyes of the audience, I guess, maybe, but not as much as the character necessarily. Like,
I think that's a more interesting version of redemption because it's not just like a character screaming, I want to make up for all the wrongs I did in the world. It's them actually just like going on a journey internally, and that is...
And us seeing their ups and their downs, and I definitely like him more now than I used to. Yeah.
Okay, our first point of interest is Miss Elizabeth, leader of a cult apocalypse.
Well, specifically, why did she let Jonas live?
Yes.
Because, there's that intense thing of like she shoots a rope so he doesn't actually die, but she still tortures him.
And we've seen, and shot him in the leg. She puts him in a cage. It's not like she's just letting him go. But the previous people who snuck in, she had them executed. So what is it that she knows about Jonas that makes her spare his life? Yes.
Well, the question becomes, if she is told he's important, you can't kill him. Does she know he's Adam? Or how involved is she? I think she probably just told he's important and doesn't know much beyond that.
I think she's a pawn, unfortunately. But we might, that'll be answered in the back half, I think.
The second point of interest I didn't get an image for because there isn't really one, which is the talk of the White Devil.
Right. The White Devil. So who are they referring to here?
So we really heard it from Helga.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seemingly it's Noah because in my mind, it makes sense that it would be Noah because it's coming from Helga. And he's religious and Noah is a priest. So...
I don't know if I buy that.
Okay. I think that's like a simple explanation, not necessarily the right one.
He said that he mentioned the White Devil when he was younger. And he loves Noah when he's younger. So I don't know that I buy that.
Right. So is it Ulrich?
Yeah, that was my first thought. But then why would they tease that out beyond those episodes? Is it Jonas somehow?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. I don't know. Yeah. But it's interesting terminology of the White Devil because it's usually a term used by colonized peoples against colonizers who are white Europeans. Yeah. So I think that's just like a very interesting choice of phrase or nomenclature.
Well, I did look ahead and see there's an episode called The White Devil coming up. So clearly it's a bigger deal than just like, oh, he called Ulrich the White Devil because he hit him with a rock.
Right. Right. So we'll see where that goes. But I think that's interesting. And I'm trying to parse out already why they would go with that name. I haven't gotten there yet.
There's a lot of religious stuff going on for sure. Maybe the White Devil is the God particle or something like that. Or
it might be dark matter. It seems very black and blue.
Well, something like the God, not a person, is my point. Okay. Especially because we have Elizabeth saying it's a piece of the devil.
Right.
So. All right, as we now are halfway through the podcast, I'm going to stop and say, send us some feedback if you want to for next week. Email us at ourpodcastfeedback@gmail.com. Comment down below in the YouTube video. And please leave us ratings or reviews like we talked about before.
Right. So the fact that we're talking about 4 episodes at a time, I can see how that might make feedback a little bit trickier.
Well, for this one, they can if you want to send us an email about like about the finale of season 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe tag it with season 2 finale spoilers or something like that.
You can do that on YouTube too. If you just tag it at the beginning, that's a spoiler. I won't look at it until they're finished.
But if you want to answer any of our questions that we're confused about, also say that in the subject line, and we will jump at the chance of reading it.